Have you ever heard someone mention IB and kind of nodded along, but weren't totally sure what the big deal was? Well, we're going to break it all down. Let's dive right into a super fast but complete look at what this whole educational philosophy is about.
And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because the difference isn't just about what subjects you take. It's a completely different philosophy on how we learn and how we see our place in the world. And it's not just for school. This is for life. You see, at its very heart, the IB program is driven by this really powerful mission. It's about more than just getting good grades. It's about fostering real, genuine, intercultural understanding and respect. The big goal? To help create a better world.
Now, this mission isn't just some vague idea floating around. It's brought to life through something called the IB Learner Profile. You can think of it as a blueprint for the kind of person the program hopes to nurture, someone who actively helps build a more peaceful world. So, what does this ideal learner actually look like? Well, the learner profile lays out 10 very specific attributes. And these aren't just buzzwords to put on a poster. They're qualities that students are actually encouraged to live and breathe every single day. So yeah, this profile is basically the compass for an IB education. It guides everything from what happens in the classroom to a student's own personal journey, shaping them into these really well-rounded global citizens. All right, let's break down the first 5. IB learners are inquirers. They're full of curiosity, always asking why. They become knowledgeable, digging into big ideas that matter both locally and globally. They're trained to be thinkers, tackling complex problems and making ethical choices. They grow into confident communicators, and maybe most importantly, they're principled, with a strong sense of fairness and integrity. And the list goes on with 5 more huge attributes. IB learners work on being open-minded, which means truly appreciating other cultures and points of view. They're caring, showing empathy and a real commitment to helping others. They learn to be risk-takers, stepping outside their comfort zones with courage. They aim to be balanced, knowing that their minds, bodies, and emotions all need attention. And finally, they're reflective, always thinking about their own learning and growth. Okay, having these attributes is one thing, but how do students actually develop them? Well, in the IB system, how you learn is every bit as important as what you learn. It's all about putting what you know into meaningful action. It all comes down to this core learning cycle. It kicks off with inquiry, asking those big, meaningful questions. That curiosity then leads to action, where students take what they're learning and apply it to the real world. Then it all wraps up with reflection, where they look back on what they did, how they grew, and what's next. It's a powerful, continuous loop. This different way of learning also completely changes the game when it comes to assessment. You know, traditional testing is often all about that final score, that one number. But IB assessment, it's all about growth and feedback. It's less about what did you get right and more about how can you improve. The whole process matters. So IB classrooms really become these little hubs for global engagement. Students aren't just reading about huge world challenges from a textbook, they're actively digging into them, exploring them, and seriously thinking about their own role and their responsibility as citizens of the world.
So we get the philosophy, we get the learning cycle, but how is this all structured? Let's take a look at the actual programs that make up an IB education from start to finish. What's really neat is that the IB offers a whole continuum of 4 programs. It starts as young as age 3 with the primary years program, then moves into the middle years program. And for the final stretch, students can choose between the super academic diploma program or the more hands-on, career-focused, career-related program. And here's a really key part. These programs don't just end with a final exam. They finish with these big, meaningful projects, things like exhibitions or major independent research papers. It's all about showing what you can actually do with your knowledge. And of course, all that hard work really pays off. The IB Diploma especially is respected by universities literally all over the globe. It's seen as a gold standard for university prep. It basically tells them a student is ready for some serious academic work. So if we strip everything else away and boil it all down, what's the one thing that makes an IB education truly unique? It's not just the curriculum and it's not just the programs. It's something bigger. You know, I think this quote just absolutely nails it. It's about this transformation. It's about taking that natural curiosity every kid has and turning it into deep, real understanding. Then it's about helping them turn that knowledge into action, all while building a strong community.
And that right there is the secret ingredient. Its uniqueness comes from being this massive worldwide community. We're talking educators and over 1 million students, all working together, all dedicated to connecting these really high ideals with the day-to-day work of learning.
And that pretty much brings us to the end. The whole IB journey is really about growth. So, thinking back to that learner profile, I want to leave you with this question. Which of those attributes do you already see in yourself, and which one do you want to work on growing next?